Hi, how are y'all doing today? I thought I would show you a PowerPoint having to do with literary analysis. So, a literary research paper like we are doing for class. Um, there seem to be some questions about that. So, hopefully, this will help clear it up. I think the PowerPoint's pretty good, so you probably don't need me, but here I am. This is a table of contents. I will not read that to you. So, the purpose of literary analysis is to analyze and evaluate a work of literature. And analyze, I've put the definition here for you. Examine in detail the makeup or structure of a thing for purposes of explanation and interpretation. So, that's what you'll be doing with the work of literature. Your literary analysis is also an argument. You want to convince the reader that you have supported or proved the ideas that you are putting forth in your paper. Your literary analysis also involves research using other scholarly sources to support your ideas about the work of literature. These are some concepts that you could think about writing about in your paper: plot, setting, narrator, point of view, characterization, symbols, metaphor, the economic, historical, political, or social contexts of the times, or even literary theory, feminist theory, Marxist theory, psychological theory. There's a lot of different kinds of theory. And if you need to find out more about literary concepts, this link will take you to a 1999 copy of a book called Glossary of Literary Terms by M.H. Abrams. It's a great book. You can also Google literary terms or literary concepts. A lot of colleges have information available on these topics for free online. A literary analysis will present your argument. It will discuss the text as writing. It is not a summary or a plot outline. You can assume that I have read the literature. You don't need to explain to me what happens. These are things that general topics you might work with in your paper. How do the different parts of an individual work relate to each other? How do two literary works deal with similar ideas? And how do concepts in literary works relate to larger artistic, economic, historical, political, social, or religious contexts? How is literary analysis an argument? Well, it focuses on specific attributes of the piece of literature, and it makes a specific arguable point about these attributes. For instance, Hamlet is a nerdy wimp because he does not avenge his father's murder until he is already dying from being poisoned. You will defend points with evidence drawn from the text. For instance, in the play Hamlet by William Shakespeare, the ghost of King Hamlet, Prince Hamlet's father, appears in the first act. But Prince Hamlet does not kill Claudius, the person that killed his father, until Act 5. The thesis statement may be the most important part of your paper. It is a map for the paper. It tells the reader where you're going, and it helps keep you on track. A vague or poorly constructed thesis statement will cause you and your reader to both get lost. How can you take a trip if you do not know where you're going? The thesis statement should be somewhere in your introductory paragraph. Often it's the last sentence in the introductory paragraph. A thesis statement is often one sentence, and it should contain two elements: what and why. What is the claim you're making, and why should your reader care? Here's some example thesis statements. In A Worn Path, Eudora Welty creates a fictional character in Phoenix Jackson whose determination, faith, and cunning illustrate the indomitable human spirit. So this writer does a good job of including the work that they're writing about, Worn Path, the author's name, and the character that they will be writing about. All of this is in the thesis statement. So that's a well done job there. It also identifies the what the writer is going to explore, the what, and the characteristics that the writer will analyze and discuss, the why, determination, faith, cunning, etc. There's two other good examples of thesis statements at the bottom of this page. I will not read those to you. I will let you read them. These are thesis statements that focus on genre. For instance, a close look at many details in the story of an hour, this is the thesis statement at the bottom of the page, reveals how language, institutions, and expected demeanor suppress the natural desires and aspirations of women. So this would be coming from the point of view of feminist writing. That's the genre. This thesis statement contains the what, that details in a story of an hour reveal misogyny, and why should you care? Because these suppress the natural desires and aspirations of women. And these are some more thesis statements. These are thesis statements that draw parallels between real life and literature. In the first example, it reads, in Willa Cather's short story Paul's Case, Paul exhibits suicidal behavior that a caring adult might have recognized and remedied had that adult had the knowledge we have today. Okay. I won't read these others to you, but they're available. How do you support a thesis statement? You include examples from your text. Direct quotations are the best evidence. You can also include summaries and paraphrases. You also cite the opinions of other sources. Once again, direct quotations are the best evidence. And you can discuss the text historical and social context. A secondary source is or are books or articles that discuss the text. So they're not the piece of literature you're writing about, but pieces of literature about that piece of literature. So they're one step removed. That's why they're a secondary source. They can be about the text itself. They can be about a theory related to the text or your argument, or they can be about the historical or social context of the times that the text was written. How do you find sources? Use Galileo. The database that's available through the school library website is the best source. When it's open, you can use the school library. The school librarians are also really, really smart, and they're a great source. You can try other search engines. Just know that you'll get a lot of results that aren't appropriate for academic writing. You can also talk to your teacher. When writing, be familiar with literary terms. Analyze specific items. Use a dictionary, like I did, to define the word analyze. Make an argument. Make appropriate use of secondary sources. And don't forget the Student Success Center. The link's right there. This is the Works Cited. Thank you for listening.